I want to tell you 3 small stories. One is about everyday choices, one is about work, and one is about me. The first story happens quietly, every day. People open their phones, scroll, and move on. Behind the scenes, algorithms track patterns, what holds attention, triggers reactions, and keeps people engaged, gradually deciding what rises to the surface and what fades away. The second story happens at work. Someone spends years building a skill, writing, designing, analyzing, and one day realizes a machine can do something similar in seconds. Suddenly, effort doesn't feel as valuable as it used to be. And the third story, even though smallest, is the one that made me start questioning all of this, the one that influenced this speech. Late one night, I was sitting at my desk with a math problem I couldn't solve. I had studied, my notes were open. I tried again and again, and nothing changed. The assignment mattered. A lot of my grade depended on it. The pressure wasn't just to understand it, but to not fail. Part of me wanted to prove I could do it alone. Another part just wanted the struggle to end. Eventually, in desperation, I opened ChatGPT and asked it for the steps. They appeared instantly. I wrote them down, and the problem was done. The next question looked different. I opened AI again, and again for the next one. One night, I caught myself opening it before I even reread the problem. That's when I stopped. The problem was still there. So was the confusion. But this time, something else stood out. I couldn't explain the solution without looking back at the screen. The problem wasn't the math anymore. The problem was that if I stopped struggling, I would never learn how to think through uncertainty on my own. And that made me wonder, if this is happening in something as small as one homework problem, what happens when this kind of AI becomes a part of everything? AI doesn't appear fully formed. It develops in stages. At first, it learns patterns. It studies enormous amounts of data, words, images, and it begins to predict what comes next. Not because it understands meaning, but because it recognizes repetition. Then it improves. The more people use it, the more data it receives, and the more accurate it becomes. Each interaction quietly feeds its system. This is what innovation looks like in real time. Not a single breakthrough, but constant refinement. Faster responses, better predictions, fewer pauses. And the goal is efficiency. AI is designed to remove friction, to shorten time, to make things easier. Writing becomes faster, research becomes instant, problem solving happens in seconds instead of hours. But innovation doesn't just change tools, it changes habits. When systems are designed to anticipate needs before they're fully formed, people don't have to wait, struggle, or sit with uncertainty anymore. The pause disappears, and over time, that absence becomes normal. AI doesn't tell anyone to stop thinking. It simply makes thinking optional. For a long time, work was straightforward. You learned a skill, you practiced it, you slowly improved. And one day, that skill meant something. It proved the time you spent learning how to do something well. But AI changed that process. Things that used to take hours can now happen in seconds. For example, AI can analyze millions of pieces of text and spot patterns that would take people weeks to notice. From a business perspective, that looks like progress. Faster, cheaper, and more efficient. And in some ways, it is. But efficiency has its consequences. When a machine can do something similar without years of learning or fatigue, effort starts to feel less visible. For someone who spends years building a skill, that can be unsettling. Not just financially, but emotionally. Losing a job isn't just losing income. It's losing a routine, a sense of purpose. It's realizing that something you worked so hard to become might not be needed in the same way anymore. And this isn't just a distant future. It's already happening, quietly, one industry at a time. And this isn't just an assumption. Studies estimate that about 27% of jobs worldwide are at high risk of being automated by AI. That's more than 1 in 4 of jobs. Right now, the global unemployment rate is still at around 5%, making it seem like nothing has really changed yet. But the shift happens quietly, before the numbers can fully catch up. Picture 4 people working side by side. One of their jobs is at risk, not someday, but now. AI isn't useless or harmful by default. It works, it's efficient, and in many cases, it really does make things better. But the question I keep coming back to isn't whether AI is good or bad. It's what happens when efficiency becomes more important than learning. When speed matters more than progress, the struggle disappears. And just like in school, when answers come too quickly, we lose the chance to sit with confusion, make mistakes, and figure things out for ourselves. And that made me realize something. This isn't just about jobs, it's about what we start to value. After thinking about work, I started asking a different question. Not what AI replaces, but what it trains us to become. Tools like ChatGPT don't think the way humans do. They don't understand confusion or meaning. They predict responses based on patterns in data. And because those predictions usually sound fluent and confident, they feel trustworthy. That confidence matters. When an answer sounds complete, there's less reason to question it, less reason to verify it, less reason to try a different approach. Over time, the habit shifts from exploring ideas to accepting them. This is especially noticeable in education. Learning used to involve uncertainty, not knowing where to start, trying something that doesn't work, sitting with confusion. That discomfort wasn't a flaw, it was part of how thinking developed. AI shortens that process. Instead of wrestling with a problem, a polished explanation appears instantly. And when that happens often enough, students don't just learn faster, they learn differently. They learn to trust outputs more than instincts, fluency more than reasoning, completion more than understanding. This doesn't make people incapable, it makes them dependent. And dependence isn't always obvious at first. It feels helpful, but a system that always answers first slowly teaches people to stop asking their own questions. And we usually only notice this loss later, when independent thinking becomes harder. This brings up a bigger question. Not just how AI affects school or work, but how we choose to live with it as a society. Right now, AI is moving faster than the rules around it. Companies are racing to build systems that are faster, smarter, and more profitable. And innovation itself isn't the problem. Innovation has always pushed society forward. But innovation without reflection creates imbalance. Not all AI should be judged the same way. Systems designed to detect disease or improve climate models support human thinking. But systems designed to generate ideas, answers, or decisions raise a different question. When AI starts thinking for people, not with them, responsibility changes. And if no one pauses to question that change, dependence becomes invisible. This is where regulation and intention matter. Some countries and organizations are beginning to place limits on how AI can be trained, how data is used, and where human oversight is required. These aren't attempts to stop innovation, they're attempts to guide it. Because progress isn't just about what technology can do, it's about what it should do. And this isn't only a problem for governments or tech companies, it's also a personal one. Every time we choose speed over understanding, convenience over curiosity, or answers over effort, we reinforce the direction AI develops in. Because these systems learn from us, growing based on what we ask for and what we rely on. So the real choice isn't between using AI or rejecting it. The choice is whether we remain active thinkers in a world designed to make thinking optional. In one direction, AI becomes something we lean on for every decision, helping us solve problems before we've even tried. Life becomes faster, smoother, and easier, but slowly, effort fades and curiosity weakens, and people stop struggling, not because they can't, but because they don't have to. In the other direction, AI remains a tool, not a replacement. It handles speed, repetition, and scale, while humans keep ownership of thinking, creativity, and judgment. Learning stays uncomfortable at times, work still requires effort, but growth remains human. AI will keep improving. We've already seen that it can generate music and stories that people find emotionally powerful. But what makes those moments meaningful isn't just the words on the page, it's where they come from. Humans create from memory, emotion, and experience. We write because we're confused, because we failed, because we're trying to understand something about ourselves or the world. AI doesn't do that. It doesn't wrestle with meaning or doubt. It predicts patterns based on what already exists. And that difference matters, because if we let AI do all the thinking for us, then we don't just lose skills. we lose the process that truly makes learning meaningful in the first place. We are defined not by what we achieve instantly, but by what we overcome daily. That effort is what makes us human. So as AI becomes more powerful, the real question isn't what it can do. The real question is, what is it doing to us? Thank you.